Hello, this is Professor Crump, and this is the Professor Crump movie review show where I review the movies that my students make. Yeah, this wasn't my idea, but what can you do? Jim, can you make sure that part's edited out? The part where I talk about how I don't want this podcast. Please make sure that's edited. Okay, Jim, I've learned this week not to press record on my private telephone consultations with my paramour. So I've learned not to do that. But I have to say, I got an email last week from someone online who said they loved my podcast. And it's a big hit in Indonesia. So Jim, I don't know what you're doing, but you need to take it down. Because again, my emphysema. Again, Jim, this is for academic use only. So I don't want this or that in the episodes again. Do you understand me? I don't want this in the episodes. Okay. Now that's been said, this week we are not having porn. Neil has shortly sent me the script, and it's very, 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 very much not what he said the movie was going to be. He said it was going to be an action movie starring his friend Chris, and that she'd do a lot of stunts, but there's no stunts in the script. It's a very weighty treatise on how bad war is, which I'm very impressed by. But at the same time, Neil, it seems like you've literally stolen plot from Alex Garland's Civil War. So in the actual piece, I hope that you've actually put some of your faith into it, because one of the journalists is literally, in this script you sent me, is literally named Kirsten Dunst. Okay, and I'm going to tell you right now, if that is in the actual movie, I am giving you a failing grade, because that is really, really poor. But on the other hand, I'm intrigued because Neil seems to be trying to do something with this short script, which is budget conscious. And I keep telling you guys, be budget conscious. Don't go over what you're capable of. Remember, you only have a week to do this. To write and direct the short movie. That's not a very long time. Don't waste time. Just do it properly. Okay? Buy up high hopes, and I'll be back to talk about the movie in just a second. Neil. What on earth is this? This is not the script you told me. This is not the script you sent me. This is not the movie the title suggests. I cannot even begin to describe what you've sent me other than say, oh my God, I am so happy and I teach this course sometimes. Neil, you have produced a work of art. My friend, you have produced something magnificent. You have produced a deconstruction of the Hollywood action engine, a reconstruction, but at the same time, a brutal destruction of masculinity, and a reawakening of the feminism ideal. Neil, I salute you. But at the same time, this is incredibly boring. Neil, you are a gifted director of movies. You really are. You're very, very, very talented, Neil. You have made a brilliant movie, which is also very boring. Now, you need to decide, Neil, what you want to do. Because you have potential to be a movie maker who could change the game. But at the same time, this is literally a one-take sequence of your friend Chris delivering a monologue to camera and stumbling over her words. Because Chris is not a very good actress, Neil. She's not very good. But she's also got raw talent to her. So I don't even know how to review this, Neil. You've given me something to think about, because I especially love the scene where she looks at both cameras simultaneously, because Chris has the ability to go cross-eyed whenever she feels like it. So she's actually looking both cameras, and she's delivering in split screen the same monologue, but her eyes have a different emotion. Each eye has different emotion in it. One eye, fierce pride. The other eye, devastated loneliness. And instantly, Neil, I think you should probably talk to Chris, because she might actually need counselling, because she looked pretty traumatized. And then there's the fact that none of that was in the script. She seemed very, 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 very vulnerable when she's talking about her upbringing. So I'm wondering if that was actually acting, or whether she literally was just saying what was on mind. Because if that's the case, Neil, you got a performance out of her, but if it's actually just her saying what she really feels, that's not acting. So I need to discuss that with you. And at the same time, she did say some things which were a tad inflammatory, so we might have to discuss that. I mean, I think Jim will have to edit out some of the language, because Chris, Neil, I don't want to sound offensive, but she's very, very white, and she says in her opening speech, I'm very white, I'm very straight, and I'm Catholic. So she's not allowed to use some of the words that she used. I'm just going to tell you now, Jim's going to have to edit that out. Jim's going to have to edit this down a lot. And maybe, Neil, I understood what you're going for, but I think perhaps you should work with Jim and get this edited down to a more manageable length for the class, because I'm going to tell you now, I think Vanessa would lose her shit if she heard some of those words. You know? And Billy would probably get off on the fact that Chris is wearing short shorts because he's a little perv. Oh, I should have said that. Jim, cut that out. And cut out all the stuff I said about Vanessa's way. Neil, we're going to edit this down, because you've got makings of a classic, but it's too long, it's boring, it's preachy, and I think we need to cut down some of those slurs, because, you know, that's actually kind of offensive. But it's also brilliant, but it's also offensive. And I think we should err on the side that maybe, you know, brilliance isn't worth offending people. So I want this to be edited. So if we can edit this down, that'd be very much appreciated. So we'll show you edited down version class. I'm going to give this version an A for effort. A C plus for technique and quality, and but an F if your goal was to do anything. If your goal was not to offend people, you failed miserably, because this will offend everyone. So let's work on that, and then I'll do a re-review, okay? Thank you, bye. Dear students, dear Vanessa, dear Billy, dear Neil, and dear Olga, I'd like to apologise for what happened in class today. I was unaware that Jim did not realise that him and Neil were meant to edit Neil's movie. Because Jim and Neil decided to, for some reason, not only edit his movie, but put in scenes from Billy's movie. Which, okay, I also want to apologise for Neil not realising that he had to take that offensive content out of his movie, because now what we have is a shortened version of Neil's movie with parts from Billy's movie, the graphic parts, with all of that offensive language over the top of it. I am so sorry that you all had to watch that. Vanessa, I understand you've made a formal commitment to Dean. I'm not laughing because it's fun, I'm laughing because I'm actually very angry. But I assure you, I tried to sort this out. I also think that maybe, Neil, you should not invite Chris to any more of these sessions, because Chris says some very hurtful things to Vanessa, and now we have a restraining order in place because Vanessa took it upon herself, I'm not passing judgment, to pick up a copy of Robert McKee's latest book and, in her own words, break it down over that bitch's face. And now we have a serious incident which involved police and a hospital stay. And I assure everyone that this will not happen again. Neil, I do not want to give you an F, Neil. What I am going to do is I'm going to ask that Jim take the week off from any involvement in this next week. I am going to make sure in future that we all sit down and agree the plot beats through the movies in advance all together to make sure this doesn't happen again. And I will make sure that I authorise anything be shown in class and I watch it. I understand that maybe it's my mistake to not watch Neil's recut version of this movie. I should have done that. Unfortunately, I was out the whole day before and I did not have a chance to watch the movie. But I'll make sure in future I do that. And once again, I'd like to apologise to everyone in class and especially to Vanessa. But I would also like to add, Vanessa, if you smack someone in the face with a book and the book lands on your hand and you hurt your hand, that is not the other person's fault. That's not... You know what, Jim's cut that... Before you go on your sabbatical, cut that last part out, okay? Thank you.